Welcome, one and welcome all, to the first installment of the Riding the Couch podcast. I am one of your hosts, Michael, along with Jack and Gordon. You guys,
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
yeah, all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. All good, man. Hanging in there.
All right. So this is the podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously, sports focused, but we get off topic sometimes. And for our first opening installment of this podcast, I thought I'd go back to a tweet from Kendrick Perkins a while back on Thunder's Mr. A tweet back from Kendrick Perkins back from Russell Westbrook Day last season when he tweeted out that Russell Westbrook was the greatest Thunder player ever. Kevin Durant, being the petty king he is, took it into his responsibility to come at Kendrick Perkins saying that he is the greatest. Kendrick Perkins cleared it up, said, "Yes, you're the best, but you're not the greatest. You snaked the state of Oklahoma. They won't forgive you for that. Everyone loves Russell Westbrook there because he was loyal." So we're going to take this concept, bring it out to the whole league, and for all 30 teams, we're going to try to look at who you see as Mr. Blank, insert team. And so this will be for the past 20 years. Recency is best because then otherwise it would just be very easy. And we can have dark horses, favorites. We're just going to go around and we're just going to go around and say who the greatest player from all teams are. So starting with the 76ers, I thought this was a pretty clear one. I went with AI.
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone else did too. But you got to take into account those process years, you know? So for the process years, I went with my dark horse, Thaddeus Young and Robert Covington. Robert Covington was there for the lows and the highs.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I totally thought about Thaddeus Young as a dark horse candidate. I went AI as well. I really also it came to my mind that Andre Iguodala had a huge impact on the 76ers at the time after AI and sort of before the process started. He was a real stud for them, and an all-star in a couple years.
Yeah, I actually put down JJ Redick. I don't know. Yeah, no, I just feel like he was a guy, he was shooting the ball well for them, and he was their first really solid veteran, right? For when they kind of had that come up. So I feel like he was very important. Obviously now he's out in New Orleans, but I put JJ Redick down as my dark horse.
Yeah, obviously, you know, he was only there for a couple years, but I mean, those 76er teams, they were kind of stinking up the joint this season without him, you know.
Without him, yeah.
Ben Simmons obviously can't shoot a jump shot for his life. So moving on to the Bucks, seems pretty simple. How could you not go the MVP, Giannis?
Yeah, of course.
But as my dark horse, I put Ersan Ilyasova and Brandon Jennings. Before Giannis, Brandon Jennings was the man. He was dropping like 20 a night. He was having big plays, especially in the playoffs. He hit that one massive shot. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was against the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brandon Jennings, before the injuries hit him, was a stud.
Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, that's who I put down. And he only, I think he was he drafted by the Bucks?
That's a good question.
He might have.
I think if my memory serves me correct, I'm pretty sure he was drafted first round by the Bucks and played there for a good amount of his career. And then obviously he was in New York and stuff like that, or Washington. But he before Giannis came up, he was kind of their guy. And I know that you're a Bucks fan, Michael, so I think yeah.
For me, as a dark horse, I actually went a bit earlier than that. I was looking at the thousands, early and mid-thousands. Michael Redd, he was a really, really talented scorer, and I didn't really watch him. I was pretty young, wasn't a huge fan of the team, but looking back on him, his stats, and he put up some great numbers. He led that team big time, so he was my dark horse candidate. A lot of people don't remember how big and how important he was for the Bucks.
Yeah, and then moving on, just south, the Bulls. I went, as I think everyone did, with
The GOAT.
D Rose.
Of course.
Ooh.
at this fool. Look at this fool. Were you watching The Last Dance, man?
I was watching. We should talk about that one. So yeah, obviously, I did mess up. Funny thing, I sent my list and I did not know that it was 20 years. So I was doing some revising. Yes, I obviously have Derrick Rose. What a shame that he never got to really show his full potential. That Mike Korzeva "What If" video is
Yeah, the classic.
yeah,
Classic.
yeah.
One of the biggest questions in NBA history. And then, did anyone have a dark horse?
Yeah, I had a dark horse. Kirk Heinrich, he was with the team for a really long period of time. He was with them in some of the times when they were really stinky before they picked up Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I put Kirk on. I put Captain Kirk as my dark horse too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the goggles really just pulled me in.
Yeah.
He
Gotta love
was
him, though.
he was like a yeah, he was good. He played a lot of games because Rose was hurt in that period, and he was able to kind of keep the Bulls still afloat. Like we really weren't we weren't awful. So yeah, he was good. But I did put Luol Deng just because like obviously with the Bulls I didn't really like go into research. I just thought about it, and I just remember Luol Deng being there. Whatever happened to that guy? Him and Tony Snell.
Well, he got old.
Yeah, he got a
Simple as that. And Joakim, obviously Joakim Noah. I put his
Right.
name down as like my second option, but
Yeah.
Cavs, I feel like we can just skip. It's bad hairline Braun.
Ron. I'm interested who you
And then-
guys have as your dark horse though for the Cavs because there were a lot of
I put Anderson Varejao.
Dellavedova.
Anderson Varejão's been there. He was there for the greatness with LeBron, and then the horridness without LeBron, and then the greatness when LeBron came back. He was there for all three cycles. So I was like, why not put the Brazilian Afro?
Jack, what did you say?
I said Dellavedova.
Oh, wow. I actually thought about another guy. He was a bit of a bigger player, but Zydrunas Ilgauskas, he was a really, really big player at the start of LeBron's career, and I think a lot of people forget how crucial he was to the Cavs' success early on.
The first time around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, for the Celtics, I put down, this is an interesting one because I feel like they've had a lot of guys that you can make the case for, especially on that one championship team.
Championships.
I went for Paul Pierce. I'm sure
Yep.
someone else did too.
He was
Rajon Rondo was another top guy just because, those guys were both drafted there.
KG for me too. I know he wasn't drafted there, but after signing there, he stayed with the team for a long time, and he was like the heart and soul of that. I don't know if the heart and soul, but he brought a lot of energy to the table for that team.
He made that team what it was for sure.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, that's true. And did you have a dark horse for the Celtics?
Yeah, I really like my dark horse. I have Avery Bradley as my dark
Oh,
horse.
me too.
That's decent.
He
That's
was
decent.
the guy. I think he probably played there the longest in Boston.
Yeah,
He was right when Ray Allen left. He was the guy that stepped in and was just was good enough to keep it going. So he probably of the 2010s that he played, he was probably the best dark horse candidate. That's my guy.
my dark horse, main dark horse, the White Mamba. I said Brian Scalabrine, the GOAT. After all, I figured I'd have to pop him in somewhere. He's kind of a journeyman. He's played for too many teams to like say this is his spot. But Boston, I think he's the most.
Yeah, he had a fair bit of game time there in Boston.
His name has been popping up a lot recently. He's like announcing and doing all types of stuff now.
Yeah, I get him really confused with Michael Rappaport. And Michael Rappaport's also like in the news a ton about like he's out here causing controversy, like starting fights with like Barstool Sports. And I'm like, wow, Brian Scalabrine really fallen.
And Brian Scalabrine is on some network, and I was watching the All-Star game coverage, and he was
in the
there.
Big Three.
Him and Kendrick Perkins do something together now.
Really?
Yeah, I because they were teammates in Boston, right?
That's two goats, man.
They're funny personalities. I recommend everybody watching go look up Scalabrine and Perkins together because they're funny, and they've got some female host that's just confused the whole time.
Love it.
All right, heading out west. Steve Ballmerland with the Clippers. Obviously, I didn't go with anyone that Steve Ballmer brought in. Kawhi, PG, I'm sure 5 years they may make their legacy, but for now, I went, how could you not go with the big three of Lob City?
Yeah, of course.
You agree, CP3, Blake Griffin,
Yeah, exactly.
DJ.
Yeah, I went with CP3 or Blake, either one, both really important for their team. I didn't give DeAndre Jordan as much respect maybe as he deserved, but yeah, he was a really, really big and crucial part of their success.
hmm I gave Blake Griffin the nod over CP3, just simply because, I feel like when you draft a guy, the minute that they say his name, you just kind of build a connection
Mm-hmm.
with the player, unless it's the Knicks and Kristaps. But
Yeah.
Blake Griffin, I feel like he was the piece that made Lob City because he was the high flying young star
He was the poster boy. Like I'll never forget that.
in more ways than one.
Sprite dunk contest. Like that was probably the peak of Blake Griffin when he jumped over that car or whatever. That was when I feel like that was when LA was flying high. I mean, maybe until now. Now it'll be interesting once the NBA resumes to see how good the Clippers can be because they're getting back to that.
Yeah, they've got a decent squad.
What was
Do you
I
guys have a dark horse or?
Oh, I didn't have a dark horse for the Clippers. No one there that I really thought stood out to me, but I was gonna say Blake Griffin. Now he's the shooter, so I was gonna say I'd like to see him in the dunk contest again, but now he's trying to become a stretch four for the Pistons.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
I actually did have a dark horse. I said Chris Kaman, the center. I thought he was just a cool player for the team. His bald head and the red beard, I gotta love it. And he scored a lot of points too, got some rebounds. He's a fun player for me. I thought he was a dark horse.
I struggled on a dark horse for this one and went back and forth, but ultimately I think Montrezl Harrell's last 3 years in LA have been, like overlooked. I guess he's been decent for them.
That makes a good point. They did play that. They got that insane bench unit there.
Yeah.
You trying to put them over the top by not just having a sixth man, but having a seventh man of the year.
Exactly.
Also, I feel like with the Chris Kaman thing, what's with the NBA and just everyone just gravitates towards the redhead bench warmers? I feel like if you're not a stud and you want to make it in the NBA, dye your hair red, and you don't have to be good. Maybe be good at shooting, but be a shooter or someone who can lock up for a good 5 minutes. Everyone will chant your name.
Matt Bonner, the Red Rocket.
Exactly. We'll get to Spurs later. Yeah. Matt Bonner, Scalabrine, Chris Kaman.
We should do the best top 10
redheads
of all time.
Top 10 redheads. Yeah, I would love
10 redheads of all time. And I think it's also, it strikes a little fear in you when you go against the redheads because, there's the whole thing about the I guess there's a difference between the ginger and the redheads, but, there's talks of them going down south when it's all said and done. The Grizzlies, the grinded out Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Gasol?
Yeah, I went for their big three during that era, Conley, Gasol, and Randolph.
I gave Gasol the nod just because I think he and Conley both were with the team the longest, but I thought Gasol was maybe the most crucial aspect of the team. I always love to give the nod to big men just because I think big men are undervalued in today's NBA especially. So I gave it to Gasol.
I got you. Jack, did you have any?
Tony Allen.
Yeah.
Bro, Tony Allen. Couldn't shoot
the ball.
Couldn't shoot, but he could lock you up on the wing.
Oh yeah, best defender, man.
I think that's where players get underappreciated. They're not flashy, and they're their minutes are still high though.
Anyway, with the Hawks, they did have that little run there where they're challenging LeBron. That's where I focused on. I'm sure you guys did too. Mr. Atlanta. I went for Al Horford. I gave him the number 1 spot, and then Jeff Teague was my number 2.
I didn't even consider. I should have considered Horford. I had Teague. I guess I kind of forgot. Like Horford's bounced around since then. I feel like
Yeah, Celtics and the Sixers.
I feel like the more teams you bounce around, the more you lose your Mister title a little bit. Now I know Teague's been moved around, but I feel like Horford's been a consistent kind of threat wherever. Versus I feel like Teague.
He kind of fell off, yeah.
Like I feel like Teague was best in Atlanta, and
Yeah, he's in
so
Minnesota. Well, he got traded back to Atlanta. He's back there.
What do you guys think about Millsap?
Yeah, I remember Paul Millsap, but I had him down for another team on here. We'll get to them later, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, figured.
I wanted to give a shout though to both ISO Joe Johnson and Jay Smooth Josh Smith.
Oh yeah, I said Josh Smith on there.
Yeah, they were both
Ugly jump shot.
Yeah, ugly jump shot. And Jay Smooth, he had a sleek jump, or not Jay Smooth. ISO Joe Johnson, he was sweet. He was fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson now plays in that three-man league with.
The Big Three Ice Cubes League. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where Scalabrine was
there too.
You know, they're getting them stars. That league, they're gonna take over the NBA.
It's like the Chinese Super League.
Exactly. I'll be tuning into the Big Three over the NBA soon, man. They got the 4-point shot.
Yeah, that's
they
nice.
Need to add that in the NBA, man. I think they should.
That seems so stupid.
People got range though.
Yeah,
it ruins the record books then. You know.
I just don't like the idea. Anyway,
the Heat, right?
How could you not go with Dwayne Wade?
Yeah,
he's the guy.
And then I feel like we're all gonna have same sort of dark horse guy here.
I do. Haslam.
Yeah, Udonis Haslam. And then I had Mario Chalmers as the other guy, the fourth option on those Heat teams.
Yep.
Everyone slept on him. They thought it was just Wade, no hairline Bronny, and then Bosh. But Mario Chalmers, don't forget.
One of my favorite characters that I just kind of wrote down here is Birdman. Y'all remember Birdman?
Yeah,
Birdman,
exactly.
I think Birdman got a ring or two. So.
Yeah, Birdman. I think got a ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Heat team ran through some centers.
That Heat team was a weird collection of like bench guys, like Mike Miller.
Yeah.
Wasn't Bibby there too?
Jones.
I remember Ray Allen had an impact for that team.
Ray Allen hit that shot.
Yeah, he hit that shot. I remember Joel Anthony, like the first year that Heat team was together. I was like, who is this scrub playing with these guys?
Exactly, because, they had those three, those three were so expensive. They were just getting, they were just pulling guys off the street to fill out the bench.
Yeah, kind of how the Warriors did it. But the other thing about the Heat is, what do you guys think about, now? I feel like kind of they're starting to rev it back up. They've got some star power again.
Yeah, for sure.
They were Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero, too.
Yeah, Hero, and then
Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah, they got Kendrick Nunn.
Bam,
Duncan Robinson. They got those guys you've never heard of.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I feel like that team is they could win a championship.
Myers Leonard making a resurgence.
Myers Leonard's on that team?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
He was in contention for Mr. Blazer for me.
Really? Yeah, I remember him on the Blazers, but
anyway, we'll get to the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Awful franchise. MJ's franchise. For this one, a route just to summarize the past 20 years, I went with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist as Mr. Hornet. Simply because, yes, there's been better players, but who wraps up the fact that this team never has any sort of success? They've just been horrible in the draft, horrible in really any which way that you can be. And Michael Kidd-Gilchrist kind of just personifies that idea.
Yeah, that's very true.
This is the worst franchise that we've seen in this 20-year span. Yeah.
Anyway, who you guys said?
Kemba Walker.
Kemba.
Yeah. Kemba's the easy way out, I said, but MKG or Marv.
I put Kidd-Gilchrist as the dark horse guy, because that is a name that kind of describes Charlotte's disaster.
Yeah.
Hopefully they turn it around. They were the Bobcats for a little bit. It kind of just they've had identity, and then
they haven't been able to build an identity. Yeah.
Yeah.
For my dark horse guy, I actually went with Noah's man Marvin.
Yeah.
Marv.
Yeah, gotta love him. Yeah, I think that was my dark horse guy. He's been with them for a while.
hmm And now to the Jazz. If you would have asked this question 3 years ago, everyone would have said Gordon Hayward, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of snaked them. Utah fans, they don't really like Gordon Hayward anymore. So I went with Jiggling Joe Ingles.
What?
Jiggling Joe Ingles. Spider Mitchell too, but like
I don't know about that one, Chief.
Jingling Joe.
You really think
The Aussie.
I could see him as a dark horse, but not.
Yeah, I could see this dark horse, but I
Oh,
don't know.
trying to be bold. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's better.
Well, I remember AK-47, Andrei Kirilenko. He was with them all throughout the thousands. I know they weren't too good, but I put him down as my GOAT here just because he's kind of forgotten, and I think he deserves a little bit more respect just because he was kind of a fun player to watch, the Russian beast. So I put him down.
I have Mitchell down as the GOAT, which it feels hard to say so young, but I think I think he'd, if they ever do trade one of Gobert or him, I think he'd be the one to stay because of what he could do. But I have Darren Williams. You guys remember? Like, I'm talking
When he was good,
I had to do research for this one, but it was like maybe 2005 to 2010. He played like 5 really good years for the Jazz.
And to the Kings, who, besides that one very controversial Western Conference Finals, they've been a little silent. Since then, I had a couple of power forwards out here, and then also Vlade Divac took it for me. Vlade Divac, simply because he wasn't the greatest player, but he played for us, I think 5 years it was during the 2000s, and then now he's the GM. And so I feel like he is, when I think of the Kings, I think of Vlade Divac and how him and like Peja Stojakovic.
I thought of Boogie Cousins just because when I think of the Kings, that's always who I'm going to think about.
I steered away from him just because I think Kings fans have mixed feelings. Like, yeah, he was great, but they never won a single thing with him, and he also like led the league in technical fouls every year.
Tyreek Evans.
Yeah, he kind of went on. He kind of went down, with the whole drug thing. So I figured, try to keep it clean here. Good show.
That was who I was thinking a dark horse, just because he has a bad rep, but he was an okay player.
For the Knicks, I went out of the box. I went for Spike Lee.
What?
Because it's him or Linsanity for me. I'm not counting Melo in there.
You're not counting Melo? Why not?
Melo. He did nothing to remember him by. Like, at least Linsanity, that was like the best 2 weeks in Knicks basketball history for the past 20 years.
He's Mr. Nick for 2 good weeks of basketball.
Yes, that's how low their expectations are. Woo. Who else would it be? Washed up Amari Stoudemire, Melo, who, he averaged 20, but...
Come on, Melo's Mr. Nick, bro.
Yeah, he is Mr. Nick. Do you guys have a dark horse, or...?
Yeah, I like mine. It's Jamal Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
They were tragic when he was with them, and he was like one of the few players that actually knew how to play basketball. And again, they're tragic. And
I put down David Lee. They picked him pretty late in the first round, I think like the 30th pick or something. And he was a really good player for them. I think he was maybe an all-star 1 year, and he was a consistent double-double guy. So I put down David Lee.
The Lakers, they've got so many names, but of course atop the list, Kobe Bean Bryant, the late great.
Yeah.
And then Shaq and Powell were my other two.
Yeah, I said the same guys, and then I said Derek Fisher as a dark horse. He was there for 2 periods of time. I think he left the team for a little bit, but he was a really nice dark horse player.
That's true.
I would change my answer for dark horse from Pau Gasol to him.
Well, what kind of move is that? Are you going to change your dark horse to someone else's dark horse once he announces it? That's kind of sneaky, don't you think? What kind of original thought is that?
Well, completely flew under the radar.
I also remember Lamar Odom. He was there for a little bit, and he was pretty good.
He was solid before the whole, cocaine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kardashians and cocaine, before that.
Kardashians have put a stamp on the NBA. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Chris Humphrey. They could build a whole NBA roster.
Tristan Thompson.
Ben Simmons, Blake Griffin.
Yeah, with Travis Scott as the halftime show.
Yeah. That could be a new segment. Building the dynasty through the Kardashians.
Yeah, and then we'll do it's the redheads versus the Kardashians.
Yeah.
And
Put
Travis
them in 2K. See what happens.
Ooh, I would
Travis
have the
Scott,
redhead
whoever
underdogs for sure.
Whoever the best redhead rapper are, they'll have a rap battle.
Mac Miller.
Ooh, yeah. Rest in peace to him too.
Got Fortnite concert
I saw that he is debuting a new song, which Travis Scott makes
on
me appreciate,
Fortnite.
so.
That's wow.
Yeah, he must have gotten paid a whole lot because I know Travis does not mess around with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, it was like when Gucci Mane did the remix of Jake Paul's song.
oh yeah,
Jake Paul must have.
he was in the
stolen
music.
money.
He was in the music video, and he just looked emotionless rapping his verse. His face was like this, and Jake was like hyping him up in the background, and you could tell Gucci Mane wanted to beat the crap out of him.
Anyway,
moving on.
we're on the Magic. Yeah,
The Magic.
I went with Superman, Dwight Howard. Then as my dark horse, I put Jameer Nelson.
Yeah.
Played 10 years there, bro. Played 10
Yeah, well,
years
not only that, he was the second option on that Magic team.
Uh-huh.
If we didn't do the 20 years, a name I'd just like to mention is Penny Hardaway.
Oh yeah, of course.
He was awesome. I was watching. They were doing reruns of the Chicago Bulls Orlando Magic like Eastern Conference Final, and I was just watching Penny do some magic. So shout out Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
Mavericks. We all know who the best player in Mavericks recent history is.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh, Harrison Barnes, baby.
Yeah, I would say my player of the past 20 years for them would be Rondé Hollis Jefferson.
Oh yeah, gotta love.
He's been really decent. I like the Mavs culture that they don't get the foreign guys.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really smart. They keep it domestic.
we do keep domestic.
But when they do make the exception, I think my dark horse candidate, JJ Barea.
Yeah.
How could you not love JJ? Short king.
Gotta love JJ. Also, Jason Terry, man. What a stud.
True.
Yeah.
For the Nets. The Nets, I feel like the easy one is Brooke Lopez.
That's because he's like Mr. Net.
He is like fits this challenge so well.
Yeah.
So like when you think of Brooke Lopez, you think of Mr. Nets. Before he was Splash Mountain, he was Brick Mountain. But like he was there for the good and the bad.
Yeah. I also really like Richard Jefferson because he spent like his prime years with the Nets. He went around, but he was what?
Same with Jason Kidd. I put Jason Kidd down as a possible guy.
Yeah.
And as a dark horse, I put D'Angelo Russell.
Uh-huh.
But when you think about it, he's the reason why Kevin Durant and Kyrie are there.
True.
Because Kevin Durant and Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan, big three, don't put any disrespect. For the next 5 years, they'll be a good team, and maybe they can build a culture, get higher than the Knicks. Because D'Angelo Russell was an all-star and he was good and the leader and led that bench mob with Jared Dudley. I was like, I just figured he means a lot to the overall success of the franchise.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but totally, yeah. D'Angelo Russell was big for where they're at now.
For the Nuggets, I went with the legend Ty Lawson.
Nah, that was a dark horse, baby. That
was my number one guy, is Ty Lawson, because once again, I don't rock with Melo. Melo brought no success to that team. Ty Lawson, short king, headband.
I also wrote down a lot of guys who played with Ty Lawson. I wrote down Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, and Nene. They were all that was a nice little squad they had there for a little bit.
Did we mention Will Barton?
Will the Frail, baby?
I said as my dark horse, you mentioned it earlier, Jack, but Chris Anderson. And while researching Chris Anderson, I found this Bleacher Report article from 2009
Mhm.
from, I guess, like a beat reporter for the Nuggets. And before this article even starts, like the little note before says, had to write this as a practice for my English 10 provincial, equivalent to a final exam, except given out by the government and is 20% of our final grade. I don't know what that means, but somehow his article that was like this man's final project made it onto Bleacher Report. And it's talking about Chris Anderson and his
Mhm.
journey in the NBA. And it's just loaded with typos and like horrible grammar. Like in the second paragraph, instead of weather, WHETH, he uses weather like sunny weather. And he goes, whether the person is a storybook character like Simba or a person that you know really well in real life. And he makes no like allusion to Lion King before that. He just says a character like Simba. But this was hilarious. Who is this person? And I looked in the last article they've written is 2010. I guess they were forced to retire.
Gotta his stuff resurfaced, man, and they were like, "What is this garbage?"
Yeah. Yeah. About to tweet that out. Tweet that out at Bleacher Report. Pacers. I went with PG.
Yeah, I think you could have either gone with PG or Danny Granger.
And then I assume we all have Lance as our dark horse.
Nope.
No.
No, I love Roy Hibbert, bro.
I put Roy Hibbert as my second option.
Does not get enough love.
Yeah, well, that's because he was good for like a solid 2 years. So you can't get much love if you don't have much time to receive.
Mhm.
I put Lance.
Yeah. So I went the blower, Mr. Lance.
The blower.
The blower. But another guy that's worth mentioning this year that's been really good for them that no one's talked about is Jeremy Lamb. He's been he's been
As
good.
Mr. Pacer, you're saying Jeremy Lamb.
No, this was for that's for Dark Horse. I had
That doesn't make
PG
that what? No, but he's been there for like
2
a
years.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like
How is he a dark horse?
because I feel like we literally forgot that he ever existed.
I mean, I get it.
Well, no,
He's had a good year.
he's a decent player, but he's a role player on a team he's been with for 8 months. I wouldn't really call him a dark horse for the GOAT.
To be fair, though, to be fair to Jack, though, he's filled in like super well for Oladipo. He's kind of revived his career. I know, like, I'm with you. Like, I don't know about Dark Horse, but like, I get where you're coming from. Just because he's like out of nowhere and like nobody even thinks about him, but he's doing really, really well right now.
That's all I'm just saying he had really good production and
Hey, I was playing with him in 2K the other day, and let me say he stunk. So beg to differ.
I see where the hate's coming from. That
I heard the name Jeff Foster. Researching
yeah.
the Pacers. I had like never heard of this man. He played for 12 years for the Pacers as a backup center.
Yeah, it's off it.
And I was like, all right, go with Jeff Foster.
Pelicans.
Pelicans was the hardest one for me. I had AD obviously, but besides that, I really couldn't. CP3, it's tough for me to put him down there.
And he kind of ditched New Orleans a little bit. He did not.
Well, so did AD. To be fair, it's everyone.
That's true.
Chris Anderson again. Put him down, Mr. New Orleans, even though he had the whole drug problem there.
New Orleans are another team, like I mentioned with the Heat, that'll be interesting to watch in the upcoming years. Whether those guys get along well, because they've got, I mean, Bi, Zion.
Yeah, of course, Lonzo.
A lot of young talent.
Just it could go very right. Did AD make the right choice? Did he make the right choice? AD getting out of there.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, he's like the 1 seed in the West. He's about to get a max contract from the Lakers.
Yeah, they weren't gonna win anything. The Pelicans were never gonna do anything.
But I think that the Pelicans they did pretty well considering he was wasn't even gonna play for them.
Yeah. They got
getting
a lot of.
Oh yeah, they scored.
Yeah, they did. I said Drew Holiday is a dark horse. I know he hasn't been there for too long, but or it doesn't feel like he's been there for too long. But at this point now, it's been like 7 years or so, and he puts up consistent numbers. He's been there with AD, and now he's with this new generation with Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and Zion and Jackson Hayes. So he's been there like through it all. So I said Drew Holiday.
All right, moving on. Pistons. How could you not mention the 2003 players? I said Chauncey Billups as
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I went Billups. I mean, Drummond was okay. Blake Griffin's a good player, but not Mr. Piston.
Mm-hmm.
I went Billups. Did
Yeah,
they
and
win
I
a
said
championship?
the second guy, Ben Wallace. I love the undersized centers.
Uh-huh.
Like if you're like a 6'9" center, like I automatically like you just because you're out here going against guys half a foot taller than you,
Uh-huh.
and still like Montrezl Harrell, he's still like one of the better centers in the league at 6'9" or 6. I think he might be 6'7". I don't know, but he's not. He's small, and for a center, obviously he would completely destroy me in any sort of athletic activity.
Yeah, Ben Wallace is a good one because he played 2 stints, right? He was like there towards the start of his career, or not. I don't think he was drafted there, but
Yeah, and when you're part of the Malice at the Palace, as a little something extra. For the Raptors, I thought this was a pretty easy one. I couldn't think of a dark horse, granted, but for the main guy, I said Kyle Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I mean,
Rosen.
yeah, it's either him or Rosen. It's just no question.
I think this was a perfect example of like greatest versus best because Kawhi, obviously, a better player than both of those guys. But
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? And the interesting thing about like I don't know, like how loyalty goes and stuff, like how like I'm pretty sure that the fans still perceive Kawhi like as an like they love him for what he did.
Oh yeah.
So but versus when I think there's been other situations where players have maybe even won championships and then left abruptly. But I mean, because I remember everybody was like, oh, he'll stay, right? It was a debate between whether he'd go to LA or stay. And, I think that they took it well. They got their ship out there in Canada. We the North.
Drake was geek.
What did you guys think for Portland? Did you guys go Lillard or did either of you guys go Aldridge?
Well, hold up, man. Why are you skipping the Rockets?
Oh,
You're
true.
skipping the Rockets, Spurs, Suns, Thunder, and T-Wolves.
I wrote
Cool.
Portland. I wrote Portland. I wrote Portland. I was like, why are we skipping Portland? Cool.
Anyway, who'd you guys go with the Rockets?
I went either Harden or Yao. I went Harden just because Yao was like I feel like so short just because he was injury prone. But I went Harden.
I think that this one was a good example of like the top, like, I don't know. Do we think that Harden was a better player than Yao?
I would say so.
I went with Yao Ming though, because I feel like I don't know, Harden has come close. If Harden,
I think that's like the interesting thing with Yao is the Rockets are kind of like the national team for China. Like China all love the Rockets because of Yao.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like another thing. That's why the whole Daryl Morey tweeting about Hong Kong, because those relations with China are so strong. I think Yao is definitely up there as maybe number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got this guy now too to kind of prove your point, right?
Huh?
Zuki. They got
Zochi.
What a stud.
Yeah, and he's like, everyone's like, yeah, next Yao. So
Nope, just a 2K beast.
Obviously not the next Yao, but that's kind of why I went Yao Ming. He's definitely had an impact.
Spurs was obviously Tim Duncan.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but that big three, man,
True.
was awesome.
They all make a quality resume, but being probably the greatest power forward of all time, it's tough to say anyone else.
Extremely humble player too. Just a really good all.
And now he might be the head coach.
He should be. That would be sick. I would love that. Gotta stay there.
And then as my sleeper, we mentioned Matt Bonner before. The Redheads always stand always stand tall when it comes to the dark horses. I said Robert Ory,
Oh yeah.
the other guy.
Uh-huh.
The ultimate ring chaser.
Yeah, facts. He was on like the Lakers too, right?
Yeah, he was on the Lakers and the Spurs, and then he bounced around towards the end, but that man walks away with a lot of jewelry.
I said
was
Patty Mills.
the little guy. The
Yeah,
little
Patty
guy?
Mills. He's been there a while.
He
been there
was
forever.
right. He was the backup to
Parker.
right?
Yeah.
That's a good shout. Yeah, Pop Smoke said some line about Robert Horry, and I've been listening to a lot of Pop Smoke, so Robert Horry was on my mind. That's who I went for. Shout out Pop Smoke. Another
True.
one gone. Too soon.
True. For the Phoenix Suns, probably the worst team in the past 4 years.
But easy
But-
pick.
Huh?
It's got to be
Easy
Nash.
pick though. Yeah.
It's got to be
Yeah.
Nash.
Yeah.
I went with Steve Nash. Yeah, I did as well with Devin Booker and as another guy to consider, and then Amari Stoudemire.
And Sean Marion too. He was there for a while. He was pretty good.
Jack, did you have any sort of pick that wasn't Nash? Non-obvious.
Tony Delk put up 51 points in 2000, and I was I should look up on Basketball Reference if Tony Delk ever did anything, but
That brings a good point. Is Mo Williams? I think Mo Williams was on the Cavs when he dropped 50. Is he Mr. Cavalier?
Hell yeah.
no, but he's an interesting dark horse.
Did LeBron ever drop 50 with the Cavs? Ooh.
Not that I can remember, which means no. Seems like Mo Williams is a better player.
I actually, for dark horse, I thought there were a couple guys, Goran Dragic, I don't know, and Leandro Barbosa. Both were with the Suns for a while in the backcourt, and were both kind of underrated guys.
Yeah, I got you. Thunder. We mentioned the example before. Russell Westbrook. I agree with Perk. He is the greatest player to ever wear that Thunder jersey.
Yeah.
Obviously, KD, greatest scorer probably ever. Yeah, but I mean, he snaked them. How could you put the ultimate snake down as your GOAT?
What about dark horse candidate?
I thought this was pretty straightforward. Nick Collison. Everyone, he was there for so long since the Sonic days, and everyone in OKC, if you talk to them, they love Nick Collison. And how could you not?
Yeah, you punched out that example, so I felt like I wasn't allowed to use it.
Yeah.
So I put down Steven Adams.
I put down Ibaka.
Oh, Ibaka.
Those big guys were.
Yeah, those big men.
They never really got the appreciation because the front court was so good.
That's true. They had that young three.
Yeah.
When they went on that finals run.
Ibaka was young then too. He was like 22 or something. He was young.
Yeah, that team was just insane looking back at it.
Yeah.
You could talk about that team for an hour.
Yeah.
The other thing about Steven Adams is he's not that old. I just thought because he looks like such a grown man. Like
he's like 25,
not
isn't it?
Age 26.
But, yeah, it looks like he's been living in the woods for years now.
Yeah.
Just emerged into society. Or like he came out the water. He looks like he's like Aquaman, the new Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman. Yeah.
What's his name? Momoa.
Yeah.
Even Adams and Jason Momoa, same man.
Oh man.
What about the Timberwolves? Timber Bulls now, baby.
Timber Bulls. Not anymore, actually.
Yeah, not anymore.
For a couple of years when they were just scattered with Luol Deng and Tom Thibodeau, Jimmy Butler.
Taj was there. Rose was there. They had like a full squad, bro.
Yeah.
They really people thought that they were gonna do it again too. People thought that like they were gonna go on a run.
Anyway, I went with KG. I feel like
too.
Yeah.
not only is he the greatest, like he's the best player to play there, But especially when you come back at the end of your career to play like a last season there, it kind of just shows that's where your heart's at. And so how could I not?
Mhm.
And then as my dark horse, I had a couple here. I went with Johnny Flynn.
Johnny Flynn.
He sums up the horrid drafting that the T-Wolves have done recently, picking him over Steph Curry as well as Rubio, but Rubio is actually a good player. Johnny Flynn kind of sums up the disgruntlement, the word that they've had. And then also Derek Williams, who's the number 2 pick way back when, now plays for Fenerbahce.
Really?
The soccer team that has the basketball affiliate, Fenerbahce.
I gotta love it. I said Gorgie J because he's been there forever. What a stud!
Oh my!
He's so over now, isn't he?
Yeah, I was looking at the basketball reference page. He was listed as like their 5th best player ever, and I was like, "Wow, this franchise."
That sucks.
All right, moving on. The Blazers. Gordon was trying to jump the gun,
Yeah,
but we're
Gordon, what's
finally
your gun on
here.
this?
I'm excited.
And how could you not go for me with Dame Dalla?
Yeah.
Greatest rapper and one of the greatest
What you say
point
about my
guards.
dad? What
Huh?
you say about my dad?
Dame Dalla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never speak on Dame Dalla.
I thought the more curious question was a dark horse, and I went with Batum. I think that was a little bit more difficult. I went with Nick Batum.
Yeah, I was thinking about him. As just the second option, I put LaMarcus. I don't know. That's not really a dark horse, but he was there for a while and was another guy who can consistently drop you 20 and 10 year in, year out.
Yeah. Jack?
Bulls drafted him, but, we're not going to talk about that.
No, we won't. We wouldn't have gotten Rose if we drafted him, though. Or if we, kept him,
True, pick and choose.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a dark horse for these guys. Yeah, no, because I went through and I was updating my list because I had Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
So
that's the next segment, going through Jack's original list.
Yeah, my original list is what it is. I'm going Clyde Drexler on this one.
All right. Warriors, I feel like at this point we can just skip.
How come?
Well,
Who else are you gonna say?
Well, we know who Mr. Warriors are, but who's the dark horse?
No, Monte Ellis. Are you
Dark?
Monte
That was
Ellis.
my dark horse.
Yeah, no, that was my main guy.
That was my main guy.
Monte Ellis was my main guy, man.
Stud.
You guys went Ellis as your main guy?
Yeah. Why wouldn't we?
Who did you put?
They've had no one else relevant on that team.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Jason.
I put Bogut as my second guy.
Bogut, Jason Richardson though. He was a
Patrick McCaw as my dark horse.
Iggy's my dark horse, just because of the way he locked down LeBron that finals.
Oh yeah, he was such a stud.
Yeah.
That was the first final, right?
I think
The
so.
Warriors, yes.
Yeah.
Jack, you look confused over there. Why are you confused?
No, it's just I had Zaza Pachulia down,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't he make that All-Star game? So
Yeah.
he's Mr. Warriors.
For Wizards, I went with No Chill Gilbert Arenas.
Oh yeah, Agent
Later
Zero,
brought the
baby.
gun into the locker room. Now plays in China.
Wait, are we on the Wizards or on the Warriors?
The Wizards.
No, we moved on from the Warriors, man. That was too much of a gimme to spend time on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised you went with him because he was only there, or he was only really good for them for a couple of years.
No, he dropped 30 a game one year.
I know, but still.
No, but he had a solid 7 years probably where he dropped 15 to 25 points a game.
Really? I thought he was much shorter than that. I thought it was 3 years and he fell off. That's why I kind of avoided him and went with the tandem of a Wall and Beal.
Yeah, I went Wall.
Yeah.
That was.
I think he's kind of fallen out of terms recently
Yeah.
from that injury and that massive contract that I kind of wanted to avoid him.
Mhm. Oh yeah, he was with the Wizards. I didn't realize Gilbert was with them for so long.
Mm-hmm. And then,
Go ahead.
oh no, you finish.
I was gonna say he only really played 3 full seasons for them though, because he had that incident in the locker room, and then there was the year he got traded or whatever. So
That adds on to his legacy for me, the whole gun
Yeah.
scenario.
yeah.
That puts him above everyone else. Another topic to get into, the biggest tournament of the year. With March Madness gone, we've taken it into our hands to feed the public with bracketology. April Absurdity, the Club Euro championships, 68 of the best teams in Europe, 32 league winners, 36 write-ins. It's just like March Madness, but with European soccer. And the round of 64, the past couple of days, were underway. Thrilling to say the least. Do we want to get into a summary?
Okay, I'll give like 10 words or like a sentence. First day, no upsets, and then the second day was nuts. That's the basic thing here.
Yeah. Day one, 2 upsets out of 16 games.
Yeah.
Pretty what you expect from March Madness, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
Mhm.
in day
Although-
in day
I would say day one, because the opening game, Arsenal, 6 seed versus 11 seed Salzburg, the fact that Salzburg beat them was kind of like showing to me anything's going to happen in this tournament.
Yeah.
It was pretty chalk the first day, though. Arsenal getting upset by Salzburg was really the highlight, in my opinion.
That game was kind of surprising too, just because the way that Salzburg, like, they dominated Arsenal. It was no contest, really.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
you.
my favorite game of that day was the other game that you covered, Michael, was the Cadiz game. I thought Cadiz beating
Oh, I forgot
Leipzig.
that game was that day.
So that Cadiz game, I mean, Leipzig just looked flat. Like, obviously it's a simulation; they don't have feelings, but like
Yeah,
they weren't trying to.
RB
they were,
RB Leipzig a 3 seed. I had them going far.
and so those two play. Now, this is what I was thinking about as I fell asleep last night. One of the regions, I want to say it's the Istanbul region. It's Shakhtar against Swindon Town, so 16 against 8, and then it's Cadiz, which is a 14 against 11 seed RB Salzburg. So into the Elite 8 at the very best, it's 8 seeded Shakhtar Donetsk. So that there is some exciting action coming up in that little small area of the bracket, which is awesome.
Day 2 is absolute chaos. Of the 16 games played, 7 were upsets. And for those of you who don't really follow soccer, understand it, you can just follow based on seeding. But the fact that a 1 seed PSG, who many of us had winning the entire tournament, losing in the first round to Swindon Town, one of the worst teams in the game,
Mm-hmm.
in the fourth division of England, somehow beat them. And being on the call for that, I was terrified, not gonna lie, the whole time, because Swindon went up early and they didn't look back. Granted, they won 1-0, but they were playing incredible defense. I was guaranteeing a PSG win early in the broadcast, and I looked like a fool.
I mean, every single seed except for a 10 seed won, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. The fact that we had both, of course, the 16 seed upset, which is crazy, and then we also had the 15 seed Molde defeating Dortmund. So we had 2 unbelievable upsets.
You got to wonder what's going on with the FIFA simulations.
Yeah.
What kind of play styles are they playing? They're playing the worst play. Those were the stupidest play styles I've seen.
Yeah.
For sure.
Teams were just so lazy, and they're just passing around to the same guys back and forth, looking for any sort of opening. The opening wasn't there. But I think the top storyline from the past 2 days has been the beef that's arisen between networks. You know, the Michael Sports Network, GRG TV, AIDS TV, SSN, Shahab Sports Network.
Uh-huh.
It's to say it's heated would be an understatement. Tuning into other games, I'm out here on my troll accounts, heckling. I'm trying to get all the views I can. I'm trying to get the best games I can. And I'd like to think I did a pretty good job. I'm trying to entertain the public, choose out a couple guys that I isolate and just talk about, like Peanut Butter Reese James. That was my top guy day 2.
And your guy in the Swindon Town match, the striker,
Yeah.
you knew all about him. He's
Oh yeah, because I researched them for a solid 2 minutes. I was trying to get some background knowledge. I just look up Swindon Town, trying to find any sort of information because I know nothing, and that was the only thing that came up.
So I just want to mention I was doing the schedule last night for the games start back Saturday. So make sure to check the Twitch. We'll be posting the links as games get better. Day 1, because there's so many more upsets in day 2. Day 1 just looks like a lot better of a day. Day 2, I mean, it should be interesting, but there's not a single. I think the better games. I think day 1's got the best game. I got the primetime matchup, Tottenham versus Bayern. Should be very exciting. As well as another game, 4-5, Marseille and Porto.
Okay, hold on. Gordon, what you doing over there, man?
gotta plug in the Chromebook, baby.
You've been moving around quite a bit throughout the past hour or so.
Gotta plug in the Chromebook.
You're doing a whole house tour for us.
So
Next episode, you can do a formal one.
We got also 12 seed Celtics taking on 13 SK Slavia Prague. That could go either way.
Yep, that'll be on.
Either game could go either way.
That's true. For what we've seen thus far.
I think the game. What game are you guys most excited about?
I'm looking at Cadiz. Cadiz is the team I'm trying to ride to the end.
Cadiz versus Salzburg. Interesting.
I don't know what it is about Cadiz, but something about them. And then Midtjylland, they got that sick logo. And the beast Alexander Sorloth up top. They defeated Peanut Butter Reese James. I feel like I just got to ride with them till the end.
I love Molde, mate. Their keeper was sick in the Dortmund game. I'm Molde all day, baby.
I do just want to mention that Midtjylland are now playing games. They played a game today. I follow them on Twitter, so they're back in Europe.
Who? Midtjylland? They're playing like actual games.
Playing games. There's no fans, but they have a car drive through, and there's a big screen on the stadium. So if you guys want to watch some Danish football, and it just makes me wonder if this country took it all a little bit more seriously, how quick we could get back to that.
Yeah, well, Europe is like a lot of those leagues are already scheduling like play again. Meanwhile, the U.S. we're out here struggling because nobody can stay inside.
I can't wait for Swindon Shakhtar because I mean, tell me why Swindon can't win again. They just beat PSG, and Shakhtar aren't necessarily very scary. So I want to see Swindon. We've never ever seen, not even in March Madness, a 16 seed go to the Sweet 16, and obviously this is the first year of April Absurdity, but.
Yeah, maybe this will become an annual tournament. Maybe it'll eclipse March Madness in views.
It would be hard though. We'd have to do it like we'd have to be. I mean, I guess we would have the experience with like no physical contact while we're in college. I guess we could.
Yeah, nothing changes.
Yeah,
and then we'll actually have get our friends from college into it because it'll be April.
Yeah, I'm not planning to have friends. Just gonna isolate myself, get my studies.
Yeah, we might not go to school. We'll see.
Yeah, what are you guys gonna do if fall semester gets pushed back? What are you gonna do?
Gap year.
I don't know. I'm just not worrying about it right now.
Yeah, you don't want to worry about it right now, but I kind of thinking like, do I really want to drop the bag on online classes?
Yeah, I don't.
I think about that, and then I think about a wasted year of no cross country. It would hurt me too much, so gotta have 4 years of XC. So we'd be at Oakton, me and you, Michael. We'd be vibing.
Yeah, me, you, and Hank.
Hank's only option.
Exactly. And oh, go on. You can finish your thought.
Maybe they coming up soon for people that haven't chosen, right? May 1st is still the date, or they change it.
Some schools have it as June 1st.
Oh, I see.
But no, I mean, ugh. It's messy. We just gotta watch April Absurdity, and hopefully it'll all get better. Stay inside, watch April Absurdity. Starting back up. And we're gonna open the day tomorrow with Liverpool Valencia, or Saturday with Liverpool Valencia. I will. I'm thinking 3 games for each of you guys on each day, and then 1 to our crappy networks in HTV and JF Sports Network.
Ooh, Jack wants some of the network beef.
The networks, they're paying me a lot. So.
You can tell Jack's a little salty that he can't stream any games.
Oh yeah, 100%. Sometimes I'll put the computer on mute and I'll announce it for myself. Whenever Aiden's on, I can't take this Barcelona Young Boys game. Put it on mute and I announce it to myself. I'll be having that. So,
yeah, you just gotta bring. The key to this is just energy. If you have a little bit of energy, you go a long way.
Energy and a little bit of knowledge. Pronunciation is my biggest pet peeve. If you're pronouncing.
I don't care about the mispronunciations. I like pronouncing it wrong when you correct me just to make you mad.
It's more.
Oh, was that the PSG game?
Yeah, I was calling him Ghana guy, and everyone in the comments is gay, trying to tell me how to pronounce it.
The comment sections during April Absurdity have been
absurd.
I mean, there were Noah was off the chain.
Anyway, you can catch those games, any of the Twitch accounts. They'll be in the description. Michael Barr too. I'm not sure what Gordon is. Gordon RG.
Gordon RG.
RG baby.
Yeah. Anyway, before we go, we're gonna wrap this up with this last segment. Quick little notes. What do you think? NFL draft tonight. We're filming this on Thursday. Bold predictions. What do you think is gonna happen? Give me 2 to 3 bold predictions.
2 to 3 bold predictions. One bold prediction for me is we're going to see 3 teams in the top 10 trade away their picks. Very bold. Yeah. I don't know if that'll happen, but you want bold, that's bold.
I think as a prediction that seems pretty bold, Justin Herbert, I think, is going to fall out of the top 10.
Ooh.
I think the Dolphins and the Chargers are either going to draft either an offensive tackle. I know the Dolphins are really looking at building up that line.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers, I think they should go with Tua over Herbert. I think they like Tua more. So I think that leaves Herbert to just slip after that. There's no team afterwards to try to pick him up, unless maybe the Colts try to trade into the top 10 or any sort of other team like the Dolphins try to get back into the top 10 once they draft what I would think would be Tristan Wirfs.
The question is if the Dolphins – sorry, real quick, Jack. If the Dolphins take Tua, then the Chargers have a big decision because I've heard that they like Herbert. So that's kind of a big decision. I think that's where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And with these predictions, we'll probably look like idiots by the end of tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's just for fun. Jack, you got any predictions?
Yeah, I think we're going to see up to, if not more, maybe 5 to 6 wide receivers taken in the first round. I like this class. You've got Lamb, Judy, Laviska Shenault, Henry Ruggs, Justin Jefferson from LSU.
T. Higgins is in there too.
A
lot of people are seeing a lot of wide receivers in the first couple of rounds.
So, I think we're going to see a lot of wide receivers. And so, getting into my maybe bold prediction, I think we're going to see a team maybe that's drafting 20th, all of a sudden sneak in and maybe grab one at 11 or 14 or something like that. So that's my first one. I guess the other thing, everyone's like assuming the Lions are going to trade their pick. I think the Lions are going to draft somebody, and I think it'll be Okuda, which that part's not bold, but I don't think they're going to trade.
I think I was going to go actually the opposite direction. I think sticking with my theme of guys slipping, I think Okuda is another guy who could slip because I think the Lions are looking a lot at Derek Brown, putting Derek Brown in the middle.
The D lineman.
that big D lineman stopper. And then afterwards, I don't see who is going to take Okuda, because if the Chargers and Dolphins both looking at quarterbacks, offensive tackles, I know the Giants, like, they prefer the likes of an offensive tackle or Isaiah Simmons or someone of that sort. I don't know who else would be looking for a cornerback and would prioritize that over another skill position.
You could see if he does fall all the way to 9, the Jaguars would definitely take him because they're looking to replace both AJ Bouye and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I see them taking a receiver.
Really?
I'll give you another bold one.
Westbrook is a one receiver. That's kind of soft.
I'll give you another boldie for that pick at 9 for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I think so.
Don't be surprised if they go and they see Tua and Herbert and they go Jordan Love early.
Ooh,
That's my big bold one. Jordan Love.
They want Trevor.
yeah, there's no way they're sticking with Gardner.
I wonder. Oh, that's the biggest question for me. Where is like Jordan Love gonna go? The likes of him and even Jacob Eason, Jalen Hurts, who I'm hearing could sneak into the first round.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, but like the Patriots and Jalen Hurts, like for some reason that idea in my mind sounds so perfect.
But that sounds scary. I do not want the Patriots to be good again.
Well, it's not like Jalen Hurts will be the next Tom Brady. There is not going to be another Tom Brady for at least a long time. Maybe Pat Mahomes, actually. Pat Mahomes is different.
Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts is better than Jarrett Stidham, I'll tell you that much. Jarrett Stidham didn't even impress me all that much at Auburn.
Yeah, he's a bum. I wonder if the Patriots might go after Cam if they don't end up picking a quarterback in this draft. I could see that happening.
I've heard a lot of talk that they're trying to avoid Cam because they don't want the guy right after Tom Brady to be someone of Cam's caliber who's won the MVP before and has these high expectations.
All right. Anything else bold? I really don't know. I
I
think
think there could be 3. I don't know if this is bold. I don't think it's very bold, but 3 offensive tackles in the top 10. That could very well happen, I think.
it could. That is fairly bold. Given all these
Those
quarterbacks.
top class of O linemen are really solid.
Yeah,
I think-
Warburg, Becton, and who's the last one from Alabama?
They have the guy from Georgia.
And the guy from Alabama. There's a couple guys named.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with the
Did he
O
say
linemen
Becton?
much, though, so.
Yeah, Becton's from. He's like LSU. He's Georgia,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's the Georgia guy.
Who's the
Oh,
Alabama guy? He's pretty good too.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Jack, anything else?
Yeah, well, I guess the last thing is this Isaiah Simmons guy is interesting because he can play so many positions, which the idea of that is it seems kind of stupid to me because
I love him, actually.
Well, I think it's cool, but I don't think that I think he's a good player, but I think that he could fall. I think he could fall to maybe 8 or 7. I don't think he'll be top 5. And a lot of people were thinking because of the quarterback situation. Also, the Panthers, no one knows what they're going to do. It'll be very interesting. They might take Derek Brown. That's tonight, right? It's definitely tonight.
Yeah, should be an hour.
What time is it? 7?
7.
That's 7 o'clock Central Time.
Is there any chance Burrow and Young don't go 1-2?
No,
Okay.
0 chance. How can you pass up on those 2?
Yeah.
Okay, but no, it's not going to happen. I like playing them.
Yeah. It's nice playing the hypotheticals, but at a certain point,
What if Young goes above Burrow or something like that? But no way.
If the Bengals don't take the hometown kid Joe Burrow, then everyone's out. Everyone's getting fired.
Yeah, it'd be the biggest draft. Oh, imagine they take Justin Herbert. I want to see some draft day drama.
I want to see some
Don't
madness for sure. Everyone does.
Don't pick Burrow. I remember the same thing happened. Everybody knew Jameis Winston was going to be the first overall, and I didn't want it. But this more than ever, the Burrow's the number 1. But don't somebody screw it up. I want to see some drama. I want to see online. That's another thing. Online draft. Hopefully something goes horribly wrong, and
do you think anyone's gonna hack into the Zoom call?
Dude, there's no way it doesn't get screwed up. there's no way.
Yeah.
Some weird graphic. CD Lamb's gonna pop up instead of Jerry Judy or something like that. Kind of funny. So, all right, I'm excited.
Someone's going to accidentally be drafted 100%. A team's going to say a name like, oh, should we get him? And Goodell will be like, all right, Panthers have submitted their pick. They're going to go with, and then it's like Blankenship, the kicker. Rodrigo Blankenship.
Yeah. He's a stud.
Yeah. First round talent for sure.
Oh, yeah, baby.
All right, well,
All right, that wraps up.
Appreciate.
First episode.
Thank you for having us on. Thank
Riding
you for
Counts.
watching, everyone. Make sure to subscribe. RTC gang. Let's go.
Yep, this was the first episode. We will be back at you within the next week. Hopefully this episode will get out to you, and it will be Friday. And the first round of the NFL draft will have commenced, and you will see how wrong we were. Anyway, we'll come back at you with round of 32 action from the April Absurdity, as well as other fun new games and topics. It's been a pleasure. Good night.